they could charge TONYA MCKNIGHT with a charge that is called murder by torture. I personally haven't seen that used in this courthouse, but that is because the details of this case are deeply disturbing, so we want to warn everyone. So much so that they nearly brought a career prosecutor to tears.
No child's story should begin at a funeral home. But for Dominique Moody, that's where you'll now find her most outspoken advocates.
We know that this little one struggled to survive.
For three men who see death every day, Dominique Moody's broke them.
I have to be the one to take the body into the freezer. And when I looked into the bag, I couldn't handle it. I just broke down and started crying.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature.
On December 16, 2025 at 7:40 a.m., officers were dispatched to 7608 Gwynn Hill Road in Charlotte, North Carolina, for what came in as a medical call. As patrol cars pulled up to the three-bedroom home, the scene outside already told a story. Trash was scattered across the yard along with old furniture and toys. Old junked-out vehicles set abandoned on the property, half swallowed by neglect. For some of the officers, this address was uncomfortably familiar. Police had been called to this house nearly 50 times over the past several years. Many of those calls were logged as domestic disturbance. Other calls involved stray animals or complaints about animals causing problems on the property. One report came from a concerned citizen warning about men with guns inside the home. In 2024, the same residence was connected to something even darker. The three women living there were discovered to be hiding a man wanted for murder. But this last call was different. This call will forever change every officer involved. As officers opened the front door, the smell hit first. Feces, urine, decay so thick it felt like it coated the back of their throats. The smell was a mixture of animal and human feces. The floors were buried under clutter, trash, debris, filth, layered over filth. The officers had to walk over piles of trash in order to get to the victim, who was laying in front of the stove, lying there, not breathing. She was just 6 years old. Her name was Dominique. The stove was turned on because they had very little heat inside the home. This is a sad story about a little girl that was abused, neglected, and it is disturbing. She was kept inside of a dog crate. Before I tell you the rest of this story, I'd like to say, welcome to the Murder She Shed. My name is Holly. If you feel led, then hit the subscribe and like button and notification bell so you can find me again in this big YouTube world. My goal in the future is to make enough money that I can help abused children. I don't know what God will call me to do in the future, but my heart is with children. I was SA'd when I was 6 years old by a neighbor, and it forever changed my life. And I understand how these children are hurting. No, I came from a good home. I was not neglected or abused by my parents. But I can understand how damaging this can be for someone so. With your help and you sharing and liking and helping me get out here in the big YouTube world, then maybe we can make a difference together. I appreciate everybody that supports me, and I didn't mean to go on so long before I continued telling this story. Rats were running everywhere within this home. The rats scurried freely through the rooms, disappearing into holes torn through the floor, holes that opened directly to the outside. The home was also crawling with cockroaches. There was also holes in the ceiling where any outside moisture could enter the home and cause mold and mildew to invade the home. It was the dead of winter and had been 20 degrees Fahrenheit the night before, yet the home had very little heat and was bitterly cold on the inside. The only source of heat in the home was an oven in the kitchen and 2 space heaters. One was placed in a bedroom, and the other space heater was placed on a concrete block in the living room, right near the couch and only 2 feet from a cot. Pretty much a fire hazard, as my husband would say as a fireman. That space heaters are dangerous. He hates them. And I have one in my she shed. He doesn't like, he's always like, did you unplug that? I don't know why I'm going there, but anyway. Then 6-year-old Dominique Moody was placed in front of the oven. She was not breathing when officers arrived. The officers at the scene could not believe the way this little girl looked when they arrived. She looked like she'd been tortured for a prolonged period of time. Although Dominique was almost 7 years old, she only weighed 27 pounds, which is usually what a typical 2-year-old would weigh. Dominique was laying in front of the kitchen stove, and her hair, fingernails, and body were filthy. It appeared that she hadn't been bathed in ages. The officers noticed open wounds and scars all over her little body in various stages of healing. Dominique was rushed to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead at 9:38 a.m. The autopsy would be the confirmed sign that this little girl had been tortured to death. The ME noted that the victim appeared to have healed ligature marks around the right ankle, which is a possible sign that this little girl had been tied up. The left ankle had an open wound, which is believed to be a burn and could have occurred post-mortem. It appears sadly that this baby's torture continued even after she had already died. She was tortured. She had a healed circular scar on the top of the right foot, which is believed to be a healed liquid burn scar. Her legs, private area, and buttocks had rashes. Her diapered area had sores and was dirty. This was caused by prolonged sitting in urine feces-filled diaper for an extensive period in time. Dominique's pinky toe had been fractured in the past and already rehealed. This baby also had posterior lower rib fractures, ribs 7 through 9 on the left side, and 2 posterior lower rib fractures, 9 and 10 on the right side. These fractures were newer but in various states of healing. She had various minor open wounds on her knees, face, arms, and legs. So basically, this little girl did not have one spot on her body that was free from signs of torture. Dominique also had rat bites on her little body. Dominique Moody was born January 20th, 2019, and weighed just 6 pounds, 2 ounces. She was an Aquarius baby, just like me. She came into the world the way all babies do, small, fragile, and completely dependent on the people meant to protect her. Unfortunately, this world would let this baby down right from the start. Dominique's bio mother, MCKNIGHT, struggled with drug addiction and could not provide her with a stable home life. She was in and out of jail frequently because of her addiction. And so decisions were made, decisions that were supposed to keep Dominique safe. Instead, they placed her on a path that could ultimately end her life before it truly began. Dominique also had a little sister born a year later that needed to find a new home. So together, Dominique and her younger sister were placed with a relative that Mom felt like she could trust. Now, this is where the media is saying two different things. Some of the media is saying she was placed with her grandmother, and then some say that TONYA McKnight is Dominique's aunt. But I do believe she is the grandmother. The court documents just said relative, but I think it's the grandmother. Either way, aunt or grandmother, these two little girls should have been loved, protected, and kept safe. A judge officially granted TONYA McKnight custody in 2021 after their bio mother was deemed unable to provide that stable home. TONYA was 51 years old, which is why I do believe she's the grandmother. I'm in my 50s and I'm a grandmother, a little bit older than her. TONYA lived with 2 other women in this 3-bedroom home. One was TONYA's daughter, 22-year-old TERY'N McKnight. The other woman was 61-year-old Susan Robinson, who was referred to by the girls as an aunt. In other words, 3 grown women who were quite capable of cleaning a house and keeping children alive. Safe, much less alive. There was no excuses for letting a house look like that. A house that gets so dirty that rats are crawling and biting all over the children that live in your house. Well, that's just pure laziness. That's all that is. See, because not only was Dominique and her little sister living inside this home, but also 3 other very small children were living in this filthy home. Court documents do not clearly state who those other 3 belong to. But what they do show us that once the surviving children were removed from the home, they began talking. What they described sickened officers. One of the children told investigators that when Dominique was found not breathing, the adults didn't immediately call for help. Instead, they placed her tiny body in front of the kitchen stove. They said they were trying to warm her up, trying to bring her back to life, as if the heat could undo what had already been done to her. Undo their torture. But that wasn't the most disturbing part. Dominique's sister revealed that Dominique used to be kept inside a dog crate in the living room. A crate meant for an animal where a little girl was now forced to live. She said Dominique tried to escape, and at some point while attempting to escape, she actually broke the crate. After that, the crate was smashed apart with a hammer and thrown into the trash. Out of sight, but not out of the memory of these little children, because they still remembered this traumatic event. Dominique then was forced to stay in the bathroom on a floor full of feces. The sister also described Dominique being tied up with black tape and being beat with a white belt. Details no child should know. Details no child should ever be forced to witness. Although Dominique's sister was enrolled in school, Dominique was never enrolled or allowed to attend school. Teachers expressed concerns about poor odor and hygiene affecting Dominique's younger sister at school. So she's always brought in dirty. All the children within the home had signs of rat bites on them. The other children were small. All of these children, except for Dominique, was under the age of 5. Dominique was 6. Evidence obtained from interviews and cell phone examinations confirmed the duct taping, dog crating, beating, and rat activity over many years of Dominique's life. Susan Robinson, who was referred to as Annie to the children, stated to officers that Dominique was taped as punishments for various reasons, like stealing food. Even though the house had plenty of food, Grandma Tonya would not allow Dominique to eat every day. That's just so disgusting. Can't imagine why she's stealing food. Don't let the poor baby eat every day. What kind of grandma does that? That's heartbreaking that a grandma would do that. My granddaughter eats whatever she wants. She freely gets in the cabinet. If she could reach everything she would. She can't yet. But I can't imagine holding back food from your grandchild. Grandma, you're supposed to be able to go to their house and they bake you cookies like my grandma did, make you homemade biscuits, and just really, really just pour out love and pretty much spoil you. That's what a grandmother's supposed to be. This child was starved to death. She was starved to death. She was forced to steal inside this home, which caused her to be tied up to confine her because they didn't want to feed her. Not only that, but Tonya would force Dominique to watch the rest of the family eat while she laid there starving. She would have to watch them eat. Dominique was made to wear a diaper and would be forced to sit in a urine and feces-filled diaper for days. TONYA McKnight left her children with Susan and TERY'N. TERY'N? I don't know how you say it. It could be TERY'N. It could be TERY'N. It's just spelled weird. Basically, Susan and TERY'N just watched the children several times a month. They knew the things Tonya did to Dominique and would continue enforcing this evil behavior even when Tonya wasn't in the home. Susan Robinson was interviewed and the contents of her phone were obtained. A cell phone showed communication with Tonya from Friday, November 28, 2025. Pictures showed Dominique duct tape with black duct tape, her hands and feet swollen, lying on the filthy carpeted area of the living room. So they took pictures of this baby. But I never understand why they take videos and pictures of the children, but they do often, and it's part of what gets them in trouble. Not smart, but great for evidence. Before Susan and Tonya were arrested, they also sent texts to each other acknowledging that they were going to be in big trouble and they needed to clean their disgusting house. I don't even know how you can get anything like that clean enough. Okay, on the news clip I played at the beginning, the man in the funeral home was a distant uncle. Actually worked at the funeral home where Dominique's body was taken.
Let's not have Dominique go away in vain. That because of her, we're having this conversation. Because of her, somebody else is going to be saved.
Although court documents say the abuse had happened for nearly 2 years, the mortician at this funeral home stated abuse was most likely occurring for at least 5 years, which suggests long-term abuse.
My professional opinion is they're as old as she is. Some of those markings have healed over and scar tissue, things like that, at least 4 or 5 years at bare minimum.
Do you believe that this child should have been removed from this home long ago?
Absolutely.
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 Without question.
The mortician said, in my line of work, you swallow and keep moving. This is something that you just can't swallow. Pretty bad when it's just that disturbing for a mortician. You know it's bad because they see a lot of crap, I'm sure. So I'm thinking the 4 to 5 years seems like a more accurate timeline because Youth and Family Services have received 5 reports alleging children at the home were being abused or neglected. over 6 years prior to Dominique's death. So that sounds like a more accurate timeline. In each CPS report, the record says YFS investigated and did not find sufficient evidence to confirm the allegation. Each case was closed and the children were left inside that filthy home. How can you go to a home that looks like that and not find anything wrong? Did they walk inside the home? Did they see the rats everywhere? Did they see the trash and the feces laying everywhere? How can that not be neglect? How can it not be? How can you keep your children if your house looks like that?
Did you ever call police about the children?
Yes, I have.
I have the proof. Through a Freedom of Information Act request, I obtained records showing Charlotte police were called to this address nearly 50 times since 2020. In one case, the record says the biological mother was trying to get the kids back.
My baby needs justice. Should no child have to get put into the system and have to worry about who's going to properly take care of them.
And from what I understand, the younger sister is going to be going back home to her bio mom. So I'm hoping that she's clean. I'm hoping that she can stay clean, because I'm not sure if she doesn't, she will not be any better. But I'm going to have faith for her, because I actually was addicted to drugs too. And here I am almost 10 years clean. So I hope that she's able to do that. The 3 other children, it's unknown who they're going back to. The photos found on Susan's phone were viewed by a local news source, and the reporter stated, the photos are horrific. They depict a child that can only be compared to the appearance of a child living in areas ravaged by severe famine or war. Not in a county filled with resources at an address well known to authorities responsible for her safety. Child Protective Services couldn't see this, but a news reporter can. Dominique Moody was just 6 years old. She had her whole life in front of her if someone had just stepped in. Police had been to the house nearly 50 times. 5 CPS reports were filed over 6 years. Teachers noticed something wasn't right, and still, she stayed. Everyone failed this baby. 3 women are now facing first-degree murder charges. They will answer in a courtroom. But what about the system that closed case after case? What about the reports that went unsubstantiated? What about the children who are still sitting in filthy, abusive, and neglectful homes just like that one, waiting for someone to look a little closer? If this story made you angry, let it move you. Please pay attention to warning signs, and if you ever see something that doesn't sit right, don't ignore it. Make sure you report it repeatedly, till something changes for that child. Support organizations that advocate for abused children. Because Dominique didn't need sympathy after she died, she needed protection while she was alive. Let her name be more than a headline. Let it be a reason we do better. We can make a change one child at a time. Dominique's story is not being told as much as it should be. So I was happy to tell it on my channel, because she deserves so much more out of life and death.
Just remember the happy thoughts and how she was when she was home. My baby will be remembered. Today is her birthday. Let's sing happy birthday to her. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Rest in peace, beautiful Dominique. I hope you had a happy 7th birthday in heaven. I hope just surrounded with Jesus' love. And Simon, I know you're out there lurking. You want to come say bye? Simon, are you lurking? This is my dog, Simon. If you're here a lot, you'll see him every episode at some point. And he is waiting to do something fun, so we're going to go do that right now. And yeah, decide to subscribe. Do it today before you forget. Been having leg problems, hadn't you, bud? We're going to go check it out at the vet. All right. Y'all take care. Bye. Yeah, we're going to go do some fun. Get up. We're going to do fun. Get up, get up, get up, get up, get up, get up. I know I love it too, baby.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa.